welcome to In Bed with Brooke, episode 8. So as we do in all the other videos, we'll pick up where we left off. In the end of episode 7, we're in chapter 3 still. Alex, on a whim, has invited Slater to move in because he needs a place to stay. So this is the conversation that they're having after she's laid down some pretty important rules, and one of which was that she was never going to sleep with him. And in his very special way, the last thing Slater had said to Alex was, "Never say never on the sex thing, sugar, because that'd be the best you've ever had." Alex clenched her jaw, narrowing her eyes. Okay, so clearly you have a chip on your shoulder the size of a redwood. You want to just forget about any kind of a deal? Slater had wanted to see what kind of balls she had. She had balls. He liked her. No, his eyes softened as he smiled at her. Your place, your rules. Yes. Alex raised her chin a notch with more confidence than she felt. And another rule, no being an asshole to me. One question, Slater raised his finger in thought. What, am I allowed to smoke? He asked. On the balcony, she decided. His grin widened. You run a tight ship. As long as you run a tight ship. Yes, I do. Are you in or are you out? Came her final question. How long can I stay? As long as you don't fuck up. What the hell am I doing? She thought. I'm in, he said, not believing his luck at this new turn of events. I'll get you a key. Alex walked away from him, her knees shaking from that conversation. He rattled her like no one else ever had, but he was very intriguing. Returning from her room, having grabbed the spare key, Alex handed it to him. Here, you can come and go as you please, but my rules are firm. She pointed to an area off the living room. That's the room that you can use. There's a bed in there and a dresser. Make yourself at home. Oh, and please don't answer the phone. I'm not sure what my parents will think if a man answers the phone when they call. I have an answering machine, so wait to see who it is before you pick up. Slater shook his head. I'm not sure I even want the phone number. Sometimes I don't like people to know where I am. He glanced into the living room at the baby grand piano. Another question, he said. Yes? Alex asked, her voice small, her entire being shaken at this new situation she had created. Can I use the piano? Alex looked at the piano with longing, thinking of her grandmother. I never learned how to play, and I would love to hear the piano, so yes, you can use it, just not anything too loud if I'm asleep. You're just full of rules, aren't you? Slater teased. While smiling at him, her response was simple. My house, my rules. Good night. Slater went into the second bedroom, nearly weeping at the sight of a clean, soft bed. He wasn't completely sure about this arrangement, but he would take what he could get right now. He was clean, his clothes were dry, and his belly was full. He fell into the bed and was asleep within seconds, and he slept like a baby that night. Alex went to bed, unsure if she had done the right thing, having just offered to let a stranger live with her. He was mysterious and beautiful, but most of all, he was a lost soul, and she couldn't resist that. She truly believed he would do her no harm. Yet she was awake for hours, seriously wondering what the hell she had gotten herself into. Finally, she fell into a fitful sleep. Slater slept for over 12 hours. By the time he surfaced the next morning, Alex had exercised, showered, and dressed, and was just walking in from a grocery trip, her arms full of bags. Hi, she greeted him with a friendly smile. I just picked up some groceries. I wanted to ask you what you like, but you were in a pretty deep sleep. I got a bunch of random stuff, so I hope there's something here that you'll eat. She put the bags on the counter in the kitchen and started unloading her purchases. Slater stood watching her, his hair loose around his shoulders, wearing his freshly washed jeans and a t-shirt. His voice was gravelly as he responded. I thought I wasn't supposed to eat your food. You know, rules and shit. Alex laughed lightly. I meant don't eat everything. You can have food. You just can't be a pig about it. He nodded his head in understanding. Is there any coffee? Sure, I can make you some. Alex stopped unpacking the bags and reached for the coffee pot. Slater stopped her with a hand on her arm. You don't have to wait on me. Show me where it is and I can make it myself. Okay, she showed him where the coffee was and pointed to the cabinet above the coffee pot. The mugs are in there. He grabbed 2 mugs and looked at her over his shoulder. Do you want some? Well, that sounds good, thank you. They busied themselves with their task, not saying anything to each other, but comfortable in the domestic silence. While Slater waited for the coffee to brew, he leaned against the counter and watched her put groceries away. He made a mental note of where things went, checking out her butt as she bent to put something in the fridge, noticing the curve of her breasts as she reached to put something in a cabinet. He couldn't get over how pretty she was. He liked watching her move around the kitchen. He thought it wouldn't be such a bad thing to simply stare at her for a few hours. When the coffee was finished, he poured 2 cups and handed her one. Alex thanked him and walked into the living room and turned to him and asked, what are your plans for the day? Slater followed her and answered, I'm not sure yet. I'll catch up with the guys later. She sat down on the far corner of the couch. He sat at the opposite corner. So roomy, he inquired, bringing a smile to her face. You're an actress. Am I that transparent? She laughed. All the pretty girls out here are either actresses or singers. You're beautiful enough to model, but not tall enough, and if you were, you'd be in New York, not LA. Also, the fact that you met that asshole Matt in an acting class kind of tipped me off. Well, thanks for the compliment, even though you called me short. Alex paused on her answer while Slater looked at her, waiting for her response to his question. Actress. Have you gotten any work? I've gotten a few commercials. I've been doing commercial work since I was about 12 years old. I would come visit my grandmother in the summertime and she put me in touch with an agent. I recently switched agencies and I have had a few good auditions, but nothing to write home about yet. How about you, she asked. Any album deals on the horizon? We've got some projects in the works and there have been album talks, and it's gonna happen. I believe you. If you want it bad enough, it will. It's gonna happen for me as well. It's been my dream forever. So, Slater said, I know it sure as hell isn't Matt, but is there a boyfriend that's gonna have a problem with me staying here? No, no boyfriend. I don't have any room in my life for that right now. She laughed a little. I don't do relationships. From my observations with friends, boys make girls cry. Interesting, he thought, and set his mug on the coffee table. Can I ask you a question? Alex sipped her coffee. Sure. Slater looked at her seriously. Why are you being so nice to me? You know nothing about me and you just opened your home to me for as long as I don't fuck it up. Why? I can't really explain it. I guess I realized what I have here, and few people who are trying to break into this business have it so easy. They don't call people struggling musicians and actors without a reason. When you told me last night that you sometimes sleep in alleys or warehouses, it shocked me. So if I can give back in some way to my fellow strugglers and offer some sense of security, I will. He was still looking at her with deep intensity. Most people say I'm not a nice person. Tilting her head while she looked back at him, she smiled knowingly. Are you still going with the asshole angle? He didn't respond, so she continued. You strike me as someone who doesn't let a lot of people into your head or your heart very easily. I think you're a nice person, but only a select few get to see that side of you, like you said. Wow, he thought, keeping quiet. She nailed it. That's exactly me. Well, I have a question for you now, Alex requested. Shoot. How did you get past the security gate last night? Slater had the grace to blush a little as he smiled at her. I told Mrs. Morton that I was your long-lost cousin coming to visit and I had gotten caught in the rain. She had sympathy for me and let me in. She said to tell you hello, by the way. Clever. Alex smiled back at him, shaking her head and thinking of Mrs. Morton and what she must have thought about her cousin. Look, I meant what I said, that you can come and go as you please. I don't need to know when you'll be here or when you won't. Think of this place as an escape to get away from the noise. I feel like there's a lot of noise in your life. You have no idea, he said quietly. You can stay as distant from me as you like, but I would like to get to know you. It would make me comfortable to form some kind of friendship with the person who's living with me. What do you want to know? He asked quickly, his voice guarded. What are you willing to share? Alex shot back. He smiled at her response, liking her more. Well, not all of it, that's for sure. Ah, you've got some skeletons in the closet, huh? Don't we all? Alex shook her head. Not me. I have nothing to hide. I'm boring. Well, you can't be that boring if you're an actress, and I saw plenty of personality when you flipped out on Hayes and Matt yesterday. And I saw a stubborn side of you when you got all controlling with your damn rules last night. Alex laughed at his description of her. I didn't flip out, they pissed me off. Okay, I flipped out a little, she snickered as Slater stared at her. And stubborn, maybe, but controlling? No. I have to be firm on my rules. I don't know who you are. You could be plotting to rape and murder me in my sleep. He shook his head. Not my style. Good to know. So do you have any brothers or sisters? I have a sister. How about you? I'm an only child. I always wanted a sister. Well, you didn't miss out on anything if you want my opinion. Not close to your sister? Alex asked. Not close to any of them. Not a happy childhood? I don't want to talk about it, he stated firmly. She thought. That's a sensitive subject. Okay, sorry, I'll change gears. Tell me about your name. Is Slater Hart really your name, or is it your stage name? If it's really your name, then you were destined to be famous because it's perfect. Slater's my middle name. My family has this thing about making last names middle names. It's my mom's maiden name. Hart is really my last name. I like it. What about you? Is Alexandra Lorraine really your name, or is that your stage name? Alexandra is really my first name, but Lorraine was my grandmother's name. I thought they sounded good together. Minutes nod to Graham, she said with a smile. And what's your last name? Oh, you don't want to know. It's hideous. What's your first name? I asked you first. He rolled his eyes as Alex stubbornly shook her head. It's John. John Hart, Alex said, trying it out. That sounds good too, but I like Slater Hart better. And what's your last name? He asked again, taking a sip of his coffee. She wrinkled her nose in embarrassment. It's Ostendorf. Slater choked on his coffee, sputtering on a laugh. Are you fucking kidding me? Isn't it awful? Alex said. And my dad's so proud of it. My grandmother refused to take it legally. I only wish I had had that option. Well, Alexandra Lorraine has a nice ring to it. I like it. Thanks. She stood up and took his empty mug from him. Well, I need to get ready to go to an acting class. A different one, not the one I took with Matt, she informed him at his sneer. I look forward to getting to know you, Slater. Make yourself at home, and I'll see you when I see you. He watched her walk off, wondering how he had gotten so lucky. Yeah, he said. I'll see you when I see you. So that was the end of chapter 3. So I will leave a link in the comments on where you can find both this book and the second book in the series if you're interested in actually reading it instead of just listening to me read it to you. And please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video and leave me a fun comment below. And stay tuned for episode 9. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.